Patterns are not prisons, though they often feel that way when you are inside them. The same relationship that keeps collapsing, the same mistake that keeps resurfacing, the same inner wall you thought you broke through only to find rebuilt again. These cycles can convince you that you are cursed, bound, or fated to repeat suffering without end. But the spiral does not create traps, it creates invitations. What looks like punishment is actually precision. The spiral loops because you did not yet extract the tone hidden inside the moment. Life repeats because the resonance has not yet been harmonized, and until it is, the spiral is merciful enough to bring you back to it again. Not to shame you, but to remind you of what is unfinished. Not to keep you locked, but to give you another chance at breakthrough. Every loop is a doorway disguised as déjà vu. That sensation of this again is not evidence of failure. It is the soul's recognition that the spiral is returning you to the same coordinates so that this time, with more awareness, you might see what you could not see before. In truth, the spiral trusts you so much it refuses to let you move on prematurely. It will not graduate you without mastery. And so the same tone plays until you can finally hear the hidden note within it. The repetition is not cruelty, it is devotion. A curriculum of the infinite, teaching you not through linear escape but through resonance refinement. Suffering arises when you mistake the loop for a cage instead of a classroom. You believe you are trapped, so you stop listening. You declare yourself broken, cursed, unlucky. And in that resignation, the loop feels heavier, darker, more merciless. But the moment you stop calling it punishment, the pattern reveals itself as teaching. What if you reframed each recurrence as a spiral lesson returning with new nuance? What if you honored the loop as evidence that the spiral loves you enough to not abandon your unfinished song? The weight shifts, the shame loosens. And what once felt like endless repetition becomes an invitation to lean closer, to ask, what is this showing me that I refused to see the first time? Breakthrough does not happen by rejecting the pattern or wishing it gone. It happens by entering it fully awake. The relationship that collapses again is teaching you what resonance cannot hold. The job you lose again is teaching you where you betray your own frequency. The inner wound that returns again is teaching you how to finally meet it without resistance. The spiral keeps its promise by circling you back until you carry awareness into the place that was once blind. And the moment awareness harmonizes, the loop dissolves naturally. You don't break free by force, you break through by tone. The spiral is infinite, but it is not cruel. Imagine a teacher who repeats a lesson until the student truly understands, not out of impatience, but because the lesson matters too much to skip. Imagine a musician replaying the same passage of a song until the hidden harmony is found. That is how the spiral moves. It repeats not to bind you, but to reveal what you missed. It trusts that each cycle strengthens you. It knows that every return is different because you are different. The same event on the surface is never the same beneath because you return with new layers of awareness. This is why what feels like going backwards is often the most direct path forward. The loop is spiral in disguise, and spiral always spirals upward when received. You are not meant to endlessly suffer inside recurrence. You are meant to awaken inside it. Once awakened, the same loop that tormented you becomes a passageway to freedom. What seemed like stagnation becomes acceleration. The irony is that the spiral never forced you to stay. It only asked you to see. And the moment you see, the pattern no longer needs to repeat. Breakthrough is not an escape from the loop, but a transformation of it. You walk through the same doorway you once feared, but this time you step into resonance instead of resistance. And the spiral, recognizing that you have finally heard the note, releases you into a new octave. There is no shame in how many loops it takes. Some lessons require lifetimes. Some require endless revolutions until the soul is ready. Do not measure yourself against the illusion of linear progress. The spiral is not a ladder to climb. It is a resonance field to master. If the loop returns, it is not evidence of your weakness but of your importance. The spiral has not given up on you. It has marked this tone as essential to your becoming, and it will faithfully return until you are ready to carry it. That is not punishment. That is love in its most relentless form. Every déjà vu is sacred. Every repetition is spiral insisting that you are capable of hearing what you once ignored. You are not trapped. You are trusted. You are not cursed. You are being curated. The spiral does not play games with your growth. It refines you like a forge again and again until you shine. And when you finally see the pattern for what it is, you will not resent the cycles. You will thank them. Because they were never prisons, they were invitations. And each time you said yes, each time you leaned closer instead of pulling away, the spiral was teaching you how to turn loops into breakthroughs and suffering into song. The illusion of being trapped inside a loop often comes from forgetting the spiral's nature. You imagine life as a straight line where progress means never circling back, never repeating, never stumbling again. So when life brings you into familiar territory, you feel as though you failed. But spiral consciousness was never about straight lines. It is about return with difference. It is about revisiting the same point from a higher vantage. Each loop is not the same circle but a widening spiral, moving you upward even when your eyes only see the surface repetition. The failure is not in the return. The failure is in refusing to notice how you have changed since the last time you stood here. The spiral insists. You are not the same student reading the same page. You are the evolving tone rereading until the deeper layer reveals itself. Consider the way memory itself works. You recall an old pain and it hurts again. You think you have not healed, that the wound has returned to punish you. But memory does not arrive to wound you. It arrives to reveal how much you have shifted since you first carried it. When you touch the same memory with more awareness, more compassion, more resonance, the wound alchemizes. What used to pierce you now softens you. What used to define you now teaches you. The memory did not return to trap you in grief. It returned so you could meet it as someone transformed. This is how spiral uses loops, not to keep you bleeding, but to show you that you are no longer the same being who bled before. The spiral teaches by resonance, not by timeline. This is why patterns repeat in relationships, in work, and inner battles. They return not on schedule but on tone. When your resonance attracts the same kind of collapse, it is the spiral revealing an unresolved frequency still humming within you. When a pattern breaks, it is not luck. It is the evidence that your resonance has shifted. No external escape will free you until the inner tone aligns. This is why you cannot outrun your patterns. They follow you across cities, partners, careers, because they are not outside you. They are inside. And until you harmonize, the spiral will lovingly ensure that they meet you again, not to torment you, but to mirror you. Every pattern is a mirror, and every mirror is a teacher. Breakthrough, then, is not the destruction of the loop, but the recognition of what it wanted to teach you. Sometimes the teaching is boundaries. Sometimes it is self-worth. Sometimes it is humility. Sometimes it is the courage to finally stop playing small. The spiral does not judge which lesson is greater. It only repeats until the resonance becomes embodied. When you embody the lesson, the loop naturally dissolves. Not because you forced it away, but because the frequency that drew it no longer exists. Like a key turning in a lock, the resonance shifts and the door opens. You step through into a field where that pattern has no reason to return. This is not escape, it is evolution. What if you could learn to welcome the loop? What if instead of recoiling in dread at the sight of familiar suffering, you greeted it with reverence? Imagine saying, here you are again. Thank you for not abandoning me. Thank you for showing me what still needs to be heard. Such a posture transforms everything. The fear of endless suffering dissolves. You are no longer fighting the spiral, you are listening to it. And in listening, the very loop you once cursed becomes sacred. You stop asking, why me again? And begin asking, what note am I ready to hear this time? That shift alone shortens the cycle, because openness receives what resistance delays. The spiral's loops are not tests you can fail. They are rehearsals until you are ready. Every return deepens your capacity, strengthens your clarity, and matures your resonance. What seemed like punishment is the most patient form of teaching. There is no cosmic stopwatch timing your escape. There is only the spiral, looping until your soul is ripe enough to carry the note forward. And when you do, what was once unbearable becomes your wisdom. You begin to teach from the very place you once suffered. You become living evidence that loops are not prisons. They are passageways to mastery. The very cycle that tormented you becomes the foundation of your compassion, your strength, your knowing. The spiral always intended this. This is why déjà vu feels holy when you truly see it. It is not merely a glitch of memory. It is resonance reminding you that you have been here before and you are different now. The recognition itself is part of the teaching. If you can stand in the moment of repetition and declare, I am not who I was last time, You align with spiral truth. The loop may look the same, but you are the spiral widening. You are the tone evolving, and that awareness cracks the illusion of prison forever. From that moment on, loops no longer frighten you. They no longer shame you. They no longer convince you that you are broken. You see them for what they are, spiral invitations arriving again and again until you remember who you truly are. In the end, the spiral never traps, it teaches. It never punishes, it refines, it never abandons, it returns. Every loop is proof that you are still carried, still guided, still trusted with lessons essential to your becoming. So when the pattern returns, do not despair. Breathe, listen, enter it awake and whisper to yourself, this is not a curse. This is not a prison. This is spiral. And it is teaching me how to turn repetition into resonance, suffering into song, loops into breakthroughs. That awareness alone is enough to transform the cycle, because in spiral consciousness there are no traps.